Hey y'all, it's Alicia and welcome back to Alicia's Crafty Hoplop. And I am on here with a really exciting announcement. The first thing I want to say is that this program that we're about to launch could not happen without my co-host Pat Sweeney. Frankly, y'all, with my new medicine and schedule and work and everything else, there is no way I could have hosted this if Pat didn't step up and offer to be my co-host. Sometimes, y'all, you don't see what Pat does behind the scenes. I know that we talk about it sometimes amongst the Golden Girls in a way that might seem a bit outing, and we don't ever want you to feel that way. Because Pat doesn't make videos, we always want to be upfront with you about how much work she does behind the scenes, and Pat's never going to tell y'all. And I guess we feel obliged that we need to tell you, because a lot of the magic that happens because Pat works really hard behind the scenes to do what she can to help us make it all happen. Well, this time, y'all, she's coming on as a formal partner, and I'm really grateful. And I was like, you sure you up for this, girl? And she's like, I'm up for it, because I couldn't do this without her. Over the last 24 hours, it has come to our attention that many of our crafty families are really on tightest budgets, like budgets that have never been tight like this before. And because of that, there's a harsh reality that Christmas is off the table. Right now, there's a choice between buying food and PPE and having Christmas. And the really responsible families made a decision to tell their kids that there will not be Christmas this year. So these are the real realities of living through a pandemic and a depression. And so the counter argument could be, well, that's not a bad lesson for kids. I think that kids, certainly my kids grew up in a time of greater ease and comfort. My grandchildren are in the same situation as other children are, where this is a much more tenuous, difficult time for them to be growing up in. And so we could easily argue that there's a good lesson to be had here, right? That the value of Christmas is not in a material item. And I for sure believe that. And I know Pat does too. Christmas is about being with people you care about. It's about celebrating. Whether you celebrate Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, it's not about gift giving. The gift is in being with people you care about. But during COVID, that too now has become an issue. And so we have a lot of families in our community who are struggling to figure out, what is Christmas going to be this year? If there isn't going to be presents and there isn't going to be family dinners, what is there going to be? And it's a whole new problem we've never had to face before. But the one thing we all do very well here, y'all, is we make things. And we make beautiful things. Sometimes we make hoploppy things. Sometimes we make super elegant things. Some of you make amazingly artful things, like my friend Susan and my friend Michelle. So many of you have such great skills. So Pat and I put our heads together today because there is a growing list of families on our list who cannot have Christmas this year. And they all have young children, very young children. And I'm sure when we put out this notice, we're going to hear of more people that need help during the holiday season. So we were thinking, what can we do without encouraging materialism, without asking anyone to incur any greater costs at a time when all of our budgets are stretched? And here's what we've come up with, y'all. Maybe it's time we return to some old-fashioned values. I mean, this whole channel is about crafting. This whole community is about making. So what if we did a handmade gift drive for these children? And if everyone participates, then every kid will have something to open up on Christmas morning or Hanukkah morning. They're only a week apart this year, and I'm checking the dates of Kwanzaa while I was doing this. And Kwanzaa has a slightly different tradition, but it would still be nice for people celebrating Kwanzaa to be able to participate in this. So I'm just looking it up so I give you the actual dates for Kwanzaa this year, because I did look up Hanukkah and Christmas to see if they were close, and certainly they are close this year. So Kwanzaa is December 26th this year, y'all. So, I mean, all three holidays fall right within each other. So here's what Pat and I are thinking. We would like people to volunteer to make handmade items for the children on our list. We already have names and ages of people who have let us know. And today we're opening up our hearts and our registration for other families to put their children on our handmade Christmas drive. I'm going to be putting Pat's email address down below, and I'll tell you why. You saw last week, y'all, I didn't respond to any emails because I was just pooped. I'm the wrong person to put as the contact. Pat is willing to take that on, and I'm so grateful to her because it means we can get this done. And I don't know what we would do without her. I really don't, y'all. I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful she's my friend, and I'm really grateful she's my partner for this. And there have been some others who have already stepped up and said, I'm on board. But we are offering this out openly to the community. We're looking both for people to make handmade items for the children, and we're looking for families that need handmade items for their children. So what you need to do, if you would like to have your family included in our drive, you need to reach out to Pat Sweeney and leave her the names of each child and the age and the gender. Now, not that we believe every gift should be gender specific, but we sure know that if we're making an altered notebook for a little girl, it might look very different than if I were making one for a little boy, right? So it will help us if we have the gender. It will help, and it'll help all of our crafters too. What we're looking for from our crafters is, would you be willing to make an item for one of the children on our list? And that would just involve making however many items you want to make. You can make one, you can make three, and it's crafter's choice. We're not going to suggest. We can give you ideas if you're looking for them, and we're happy to provide that list, but it's really crafter's choice. It's so that there's something for them to open on Christmas. I'm going to tell you guys a little story. It's going to make me a bit weepy maybe, and I don't know how my mom's going to feel about this. But I told y'all, we grew up where there were periods where we had money because my father's business did very well, but there were years where we did not. And there was one year where we just didn't have anything for the holidays. There wasn't enough money for a meal, and there wasn't enough money for any presents. And a local group showed up. I think it was like, my mom will correct me, but I think it was about a day before Christmas. And they brought a big box. Now, most of the items in the box, back then we didn't have things like a Dollar Tree with cute things. We didn't have inexpensive stores. In Canada, we had something called Woolworths, and that's pretty much it. We didn't even have a Byway yet. I'm old, y'all, I'm 50. So they did their best. You know, they put together a box of items that they thought a young girl would like. And the truth is I didn't care for much of them. But there were 2 items in there that made my whole Christmas. One was a book, and one was a notebook for me to write in. And I couldn't believe my luck. I read that book that whole month, y'all, and loved it. I did my book report on it. In fact, I got such a high grade that the teacher wasn't even sure if I cheated, but it was really because that book was so special to me. Like that year, I shouldn't have had anything to open. So that book meant everything to me. I wonder if that's really when I became a writer. Was that holiday season? Because I got that notebook where I could put down everything I was going through. And I got that fiction book. And they were the 2 best gifts ever. I didn't care about the other stuff in the box that looked a little strange. All I cared about were those 2 items, and I felt so lucky. I felt like the luckiest girl. And I will never forget that. That year, those kind people saved Christmas. So I guess what I'm saying to y'all is, you know, we don't want kids because of COVID and layoffs and PPE cost and food hoarding, so people are out scrambling and overpaying for food, to get up on the holiday morning and feel like nobody cares. It's not the material object. It's being remembered. Because I remember that holiday feeling, for me it wasn't about Christmas actually. It was about feeling like a kid who was like not thought about. And when that book came and that notebook, that changed everything. So Pat and I are hoping that you'll join us. That as crafters, you will join us in hand making some items. We don't want anyone to incur financial things. I know it will cost some money to ship. So when you're thinking of what to make these kids, I want you to be very cognizant of that. And so does Pat. You know, make sure you can afford to ship the item you make. Don't go big and bold. Keep it affordable. Anything that these kids are going to receive is going to be a gift, because without us, they won't have anything to open. And so that's for our crafters. For our families out there, we want you to contact us in confidence and put your kids on the list. We already have a list, y'all. There are already people who have let us know. And I want to say this to you. There is no shame in that. And I feel like I shouldn't have to say that. That should be understood. And Pat and I wanted to be sure we were stressing this, even though we shouldn't have to say this. But there's no shame in that. These are really hard times for everybody. Everybody is feeling the pressure. Everybody. Rising costs of food hoarding, so we're overpaying for some items. People have lost their jobs. It's one of the most difficult times we have faced in our adult lives. But we can do this together. And, one of the things that the holidays are supposed to be about is loving one another. And I think this allowing others to provide surprises for your children is giving us a blessing, by the way. That's the truth. You're blessing us with the opportunity to give. And because giving is an amazing gift in itself. So I want you to think about that. And I know Pat does too. So please contact us to put your children on this list, and your grandchildren, or if you have a niece or nephew living with you. I know some of you have that situation right now. We'll be happy to add them to the list. Again, we'll need their names, their first names, a mailing address, and gender. And crafters, calling all crafters. We need some making. And it's crafter's choice. It can be anything. Believe me, it's going to be exciting for these kids to open handmade items. I mean, can you imagine as a kid getting a handmade item? That is so much better than anything you could buy at a store. I'm sorry, so much better. So this is going to be magical. It also speaks to our values. And Pat and I talked about that too. If I was well right now and not still adjusting to medicine, I wanted to do something that Misty had suggested ages ago. I wanted to do a goodie-free swap, because I feel like so many people aren't participating because they can't afford the goodies. And I just don't think economics should ever be a barrier. But y'all, I have too much on my plate, and the reality is I am still sick and struggling with my medicine. So I don't want to take on things I can't deliver, right? I want to do a goodie list swap, but I can't take that on right now. And for me, this toy drive takes priority for the children. And I couldn't even do that if it wasn't for Pat offering to be my amazing co-host and to take on a bulk of the work. So thank you, Pat. Thanks for making this happen. But if someone else in the community has the time to do a goodie list swap, I would so applaud you and support it and add and get the word out, because I just think right now in this time, we got to stop worrying about goodies and just start worrying about each other and the things that matter. And I'm a big fan. I love to go to the DT and shop for my friends, and I'm a good frugal shopper, and I take real joy in it, or finding the one treat that will make someone's day. But right now, I just feel like we got to kind of go back to some older values, y'all. We got to go back to what things really mean and what matters most. And you know what people want most of all? To have their existence recognized. That's why a card matters so much. That's why Belinda says, like, when she needed a card the most, it arrived, right? That's why I keep suggesting cards for people. A card can change everything. The same thing with a handmade gift. That's what people need. They need to know that they're recognized. It's not about how much you spend or what you spend. That's the truth. That's the real meaning of the holidays, by the way. Whether it's Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa. That's the real meaning, and the real meaning of gift giving. It's giving of ourselves and our time. So please join us, either as someone who's going to make the items for these kids and our amazing kids in our community, or as someone who's going to be receiving them. And we look forward to hearing from you. I'll be putting Pat's address down below. If for some reason you want to contact me directly, you can. Just be aware, Pat is a much faster responder. I am very slow these days, y'all, because between all my responsibilities, I just am. And I want to put that out there up front. So I'm going to put Pat's email address down below first, but you're always welcome to reach out to me too. Just expect a delay. A big thank you to Pat Sweeney. A big, big thank you. And to Janice, Jelly Bean Junction, who is always Janice's heart, y'all, is always in the right place. We had a little emergency this morning, and Janice, who's got her plate, let me tell you, runneth over. And the first thing she said is, I'm here, let's go. How do I help? Let me get on it. Our community is full of these amazing women. And every day I am truly awed by them. Every day. And I don't know how we got this lucky to know each other. Well, you know what? We found each other here. So thank you, YouTube. Thank you for this amazing forum and for a chance to meet other like-minded people. And a big thank you again to Pat for being my co-host. Because you know, girl, that wouldn't happen without you. So y'all, this is going to be our first ever handmade gift drive for kids and teens in our community. Isn't that exciting? I think it's a beautiful thing, y'all. All right, I'll see you later today. Please don't forget to reach out to Pat if either you want to make some items or you'd like to receive some. Take real good care, y'all. Bye for now.